G'day everyone, welcome back to Pete's Investing. It's July 25th, 2023. This is the Commodities technical analysis. So we're going to be looking at natural gas, silver, gold, Bitcoin, a US dollar, NASDAQ and US crude and the Nikkei Japanese market update. So we're looking at these instruments, and these just some of the key bullet points. And first off, we're going to go to gold. So first off with gold, you can see here it's retraced back and hitting this 38% Fibonacci level, and it's actually hit our target from where we set a divergence bearish target previously, with that CCI declining versus the price, and hit the target. You'll notice also that the stochastic is still overbought, so we may see further we may see a bounce from here possibly, but otherwise if it breaks through here and breaks especially below the 61%, that's a very bearish key area to look out for. And by that stage, if it does break the 61%, we should probably see it break below the 50%, the 50 mark on the stochastic. But at the moment, you'll notice the CCI is still declining, so not very bullish for gold at the moment. Next up, we got silver. Now for silver, again similar to gold. Let me go back to the silver chart. So for silver, similar to gold, it's broken down and hit our target on the divergence, and it's actually now resting close to the 38% Fibonacci retracement area. And same sort of story, overbought on the stochastic, and the CCI is still declining, so very similar sort of outlook for silver. And Bitcoin is next cab off the rank. You can see there on the Bitcoin price, it's been hovering around this 23% level for over a month now, and it's finally broken through this minus support area, and it's approaching the 38%. It's actually hit the 38% Fibonacci retracement area. So that's a slightly bearish outlook, although I'd call it a neutral positioning at the moment. You can see there it's hit the 50 mark on the stochastic, and the CCI also dropped off from where it was previously during that period. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. If it breaks much lower than that, especially below the 61%, then we're going to have a very bearish outlook on it. Next, we've got nat gas. And for nat gas, let's go back to the nat gas price. There we go. We did have a target here at the 38%, and that you'll see here it just actually missed the target, and it's starting to rise. But the CCI is still in decline versus a double top on the price. So that divergence is still in effect, and for this divergence to fail, we need to see the CCI rise higher than that point there where it started. So if that does happen, then we're going to invalidate that, and this divergence has failed. Failure in terms of where did you put the target? Now I put on the 38%, and to be extra cautious, I often bring it up a few points above the Fibonacci level. But in this case, it looks like it's possibly failed. But again, for that to confirm, we need to see the CCI rise higher than that. And in terms of the stochastic, and it's still in a fairly bullish mode in the short term on the hour chart at least. Next, we look at crude oil. And for crude oil, you can see there it's actually still fairly bullish on the stochastic. We did have a bearish divergence here. It came down, hit our target, then it started bouncing from there. Now that's hit our resistance up there, but still on the hourly chart, at least it's still bullish, so possibly going to break through there. But if you look at that more closely, it may be a bearish divergence on that. I'll just draw a little thing just to remind us for keep an eye on it. Draw little trend lines on this. I won't draw it up there because you can see there it's pretty much bouncing off that resistance. So that's a double top versus the bearish resistance on the CCI, and we may see it retrace to the downside possibly. So as soon as it starts breaking down, we'll set some entry and target parameters in terms of where it may stop and bounce from. Next, look at the US dollar. So for the US dollar, it did actually hit it at the support level down here, and it bounced up and hit our target on the retrace on this bullish divergence. Hit the target over here where we set, and it kept rising, so it's gone up as far as the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. So that's looking good. It's approaching the midpoint of the stochastic. So if it breaks much higher than that, and especially if it breaks above the 61% on the Fibonacci, we're going to consider this an hourly bullish mode. But at the moment, I'd call it neutral. Even though the price is rising, I'd call it neutral as opposed to bullish, to be a bit more conservative about the approach. Next, we've got the NASDAQ. And in terms of the NASDAQ, you can see here it hit the resistance up here. We had a bearish divergence and it bounced down, hit our target at the 38%, and we actually fell below that, and currently resting around the 50% Fibonacci level. So it's a retrace. I'd still call it a bullish movement because it's still in the overbought area of the stochastic. Although you'll notice the CCI is still dropping, so we may see further declines possibly. But it needs to break below the 50 point, but also especially below the 61% Fibonacci to be considered more bearish. And lastly, we'll look at the Nikkei, and that's the Japanese market. So for the Nikkei, it's been bouncing for each of these periods. If you've been following this, it's been bouncing around the 61% Fibonacci retracements for each of these highs and lows. And it's still currently in that little range there. It's still currently sitting around the 50 to 61% Fibonacci retracement level. So it's hovering around that area. So I would call this a neutral. You can see there just hugging that 50 mark on the stochastic, and it's been going sideways for some time. So I'd call that a neutral trend on the hourly. So we need to see it break to the downside to be more bearish. As I said, below this stochastic, but also below the Fibonacci 61% level. So that's where we are. Again, to get more insight into how to trade using the trend and or the divergence, subscribe to my Patreon page, where we also do weekly scans of stocks, currencies and commodities. Subscribe, like and share the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in a future video.